everyone. I hope you're doing well. It is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, and welcome to Anxiety Recovery. I'm coming with a live stream, y'all. I feel like this whole week, that's what this assignment is for me, is coming to live with you. And Wednesday is my anxiety class. If you're interested, my website is linked in the description box. And I'd love to have you, whether it's a group class or a one-to-one session. So yeah, we're gonna talk about anxiety today. I'm gonna get into the roots and the basics of it and open this as a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And while I'm waiting for y'all to come in, I wanna see what this does. Yes, this is where I can play with this background. That is so cool, y'all. So bear with me, because every time something new comes on here, I'm very curious. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow, let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna put my flyer for Thursdays as my backdrop. Let me see if it works. So tomorrow's class, y'all, this is so rad. Look at this. Okay, tomorrow's class is Artist Dream Life Sessions. It's every Thursday. It's from an artist and musician community, but obviously for those of you that are artists here, like, so cool. You guys can join this class. I have this as a group class, and I'm going to be doing workshops next week. I decided I'm doing the workshop because honestly, something I've been learning these days is I can't just wait for things to happen anymore. I'm in a space where I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, life is happening and I can't anymore. So I'm not gonna wait for things to get calmer in my life. I'm going to do this next week. I am charging $17 for each workshop. So I'm gonna have one for She's Restored, and it's called Reflect, Release, Restore. Some of you have taken this workshop with me in the past. It's actually been a while since I've done both workshops. And then the other workshop is this. This is so cool, y'all. Artist Dream Life Sessions. That's the workshop for the artists and musicians. So if y'all are interested, that's what we can do together. Hold on. I think I can go back to no backdrop. There. Okay, I'm back. Hello, welcome everybody. Good to see y'all. So yes, anxiety, that's what we're talking about today. So if y'all have any questions from the get-go, please ask, because I kind of more would like to tailor this to you and your questions about anxiety or what you're going through with anxiety if you're battling anxiety. So please. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are y'all doing? So as I mentioned, workshops. I'm doing my workshops next week. $17 per person. And I will have this linked in probably as a post, because I think it's easier to link links in posts on YouTube. And then y'all can find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at She's Restored for this family, and at Soñado Libre Sound for artists and musicians if you're interested. Thank you so much. Blessings to you as well. Thank you for the love and support and blessings, and I send it all back to y'all. All very kind. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get into this anxiety. Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Our anxiety grows as the days get darker. It's just gonna happen. So this is why it's been impressed in my spirit also, because I have battled anxiety for quite some time, and I've had different stages that I've been in it, but I have gained some knowledge and wisdom over the years, and I have learned to apply some of this for myself. So I want to impart this to you so that you can be equipped and you can learn to manage your anxiety and hopefully get to a place where you can conquer it so that it doesn't become your existence. Because there's nothing more exhausting than constantly being anxious about everything in your life. And I've definitely had these seasons in my life where, especially before I knew that was what I was battling, it is all encompassing. As I've shared before, you know, you can have mental anxiety where you have racing thoughts all the time, you can't get a grip on your thoughts, you feel like you're just a victim to everything that you're thinking. A lot of the times it's because you're a thinker, so you process everything up here. For others of us like me, you have it in your emotional realm, so you know, you get emotionally exhausted very quickly, or you're triggered very quickly by being stressed out or anxious. And so yeah, so a lot of times you have major trouble with emotional dysregulation, and all of this is connected to your system, and it being in fight or flight response. And then of course, when you're in acute or chronic anxiety, which happens for a lot of us, especially when we don't know how to manage it or deal with it, then you start to have physical symptoms, which I still have to this day. A lot of times it is because you're in a state of fight or flight for too long, and your body starts to get tired because you're carrying all of that anxiety within you. So this is why it's important to learn how to manage that, learn what your triggers are, learn your anxiety response, because that is key, actually. And let's get into this. I'm going to teach you. Hi, welcome. I am from Texas, y'all. I'm a Texas girl. I'm with you there on Widow Worlds. Yes. Hormones play, or as I like to call them sometimes, hormones, play a huge role on anxiety. Certainly life changes. Or in my case, I've been in flux for a very long time, and there's a part of me, because I'm in this transition, that has not been able to fully rest, even though I can remind myself that right now I'm here and I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm, you know, kind of in a pause so I can be okay. But so yeah, if you're in transition to, or you know, you're about to move or you're moving, all of these things are factors that trigger our anxiety, or trigger even those core wounds that we have that trigger our anxiety, if that makes sense. Absolutely. You're very welcome, and good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. So this is what I teach y'all. This is a revelation that I received. A lot of you already know this because you've been with me for a while, but this is a revelation I received when I was in the space where I was literally crying out to God saying, I can't handle my anxiety. Like, it was to the point where, now some of this for me was my environment. And I'm just going to say this plainly, because this is important for you to know. Some of you are in toxic environments. You are in a constant fight or flight state because of the environment you're in, and whether it's home, work, relational, whatever it is, or circumstantial, again, you know, moving, that kind of stuff. It can be a toxic environment, and you're not allowed, because of you're triggered into that fight or flight response, you're not allowed to rest. It's even beyond you. So this is important to take note of, because you won't be able to find that rest until you find that rest, if that makes sense. So with that said, when I got this revelation, I was in this space, okay? It had gotten to the point where physically my physical manifestations of anxiety were beyond my ability to manage. In fact, I'd gone to doctors, and it is what it was. It was anxiety. Some of it I could share with them and they helped me, and the rest of it I just knew it was because of where I was at. So that's an important factor to remember, is your environment, and to be real and honest with that. But this is a revelation I received, and this is what I teach, because I do believe there is a connection between depression and anxiety, but there's also a missing piece that most of the time we don't hear about, that I've discovered. This is actually the opposite end of the spectrum. So anxiety is the culprit, the energy, I'll put it that way. Anxiety is the restless energy that comes against us, driven by the spirit of fear, because everything's spiritual first, y'all. Everything is spiritual first. So if you're wondering, why the heck do I have anxiety? Why is my anxiety being triggered? It's because there's a spirit of fear behind it from the outside. And I got to get into the spiritual, because you won't understand this without it. I wrestle 3 realms at all times. Spiritual warfare, which I taught about recently. So there's an enemy that comes against us, against our progress, against our future, against the goodness in our life. So we have to be cognizant of that. So he will throw anything and everything at us to impede our progress, first and foremost. Number 2 is that dark energy operating in people that come against us, whether we know it or not. So these are people that have, jealous spirits, or demonic spirits, or evil spirits, witchcraft spirits. I mean, I could go on, okay? But that coming against us can bring us anxiety, believe it or not. And then thirdly is our inner wrestle with anxiety. That is to say, the places in myself that are not healed, the places in myself that are still toxic, places in myself that need rescue. Okay, so kind of giving you the foundation of that. So with that said, anxiety is the pendulum that takes you to the heights of anger. Okay, so that's one end of the spectrum, or the depths of depression. Okay, and the way that God gave me this revelation was literally a pendulum, like a clock, that I'm either tossed I'm tossed up to anger. And if you think about it, anger is usually loud, it's outward, it's projection. Okay, keep that in mind. And the depths of depression. So we know depression is all-encompassing, but it's inward most of the time. Most of the time, depression is a quiet battle, and it goes deeper than that. Okay, so where do you tend to go when you get anxious? Do you tend to get mad and take it out on people? That is to say, I project my anxiety outward to others, and I want them to fix it, or I want them to get in line so I can feel safe. Or do you internalize your anxiety? Do you keep it to yourself and quietly fall apart? Because either way, until you address your tendency, you won't be able to manage it. Okay, you have to acknowledge this for yourself so I can know. I mostly internalize anxiety, but I can also vacillate to getting upset. So it really, and some of us are vacillators, like you're both. That is to say, I'm both, or I can go up or down. But knowing this about yourself is the first step. So, what do I think about India? I think India is awesome. I've never been there, but I think it's awesome. And you're very welcome. Yes, it is what a world. I agree. I agree with that. So here's a verse that is comforting, and it's one that has helped me also understand this concept of the weight of anxiety and how it can cause depression. And there are different translations to this verse, but this is the one I wrote down. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word cheers him up. So as simplistic and perhaps too good to be true as that sounds, that is where it starts. This is not to minimize those of us who have suffered with anxiety so long that we're medicated because of it or we're hospitalized because of it. And some of us have been there. I've been hospitalized for anxiety before. As I said, I've had seasons where it's that bad that I have to go to the ER and have an EKG done to make sure I'm not having a heart attack. I've been there. So if you're in that stage, I lament with you, because I know how encompassing it can be, overpowering it can be. But this scripture says a good word cheers him up. Okay? Now, why do you think that's so? I think it's because at the root, when we're anxious, the core need is I want to feel safe. I want to feel safe. I want to know I'm okay. I want to know the environment that I'm in is supportive and loving for me. And I need to hear that. Okay? Because we are created and we were created to live by words. Now, I know in our society, and especially in this time and day that we're in, where words are so careless these days, like we don't even think about it half the time. And if we're not careful, you know, we're saying stuff we don't mean, and we're hurting the people that we love, and it's horrible. It's the worst space you could be in on both sides. So, but it is words that bring life into our existence. Oh, you're so kind. Thank you for the compliments. Y'all are awesome. And I send all the love back to you sevenfold. So, my encouragement to you with this, and as simplistic as it is one of the easiest ways that you can calm yourself down, even if you're by yourself, is to have affirmations written down for yourself, okay? And they can be anything. They can be scriptures. They can be, you know, positive affirmations. Maybe something kind and sweet that reminds you of an aunt, or, you know, your mom, or your somebody in your family that spoke this to you, that made you feel good about yourself, that made you feel safe. And say that to yourself, okay? Whenever you start to feel anxious. But it's a good word that cheers him up. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in the space of joy and happiness. And that is the antidote to anxiety. And it is love at the root, really. Because at the root of anxiety is fear. And perfect love casts out fear. So, the inner being, spirit, soul, and body. And in this case, spirit, soul, and heart. Because anxiety does, at the root, attack our heart. This is why it manifests a lot of the time, and most of the time, in our heart realm. Of course, you could have other physical symptoms with anxiety, stomach issues, which I've dealt with, headaches, which I've dealt with, and in worst case, migraines. These are all like chronic symptoms of anxiety. Our heart is where we process our emotional life. As I shared yesterday, If you didn't see that live stream, I encourage you to go watch it. It is Recovery Tuesdays, and I talked about the heart. So, here's another verse. Guard your heart above all else, for out of it flow the issues of life. Okay, so if I want to know the roots of my anxiety and where, because a lot of times some of these things we don't even realize, why am I so scared or nervous? It's because we have roots in our heart that are wounded from trauma, from, painful memories or circumstances that we were in, relationships, the list goes on. So again, the heart, I just talked on the heart, and I encourage you to go watch that or any of my videos on the heart. Let's see. So as I said, anxiety comes from the spirit of fear to throw us off balance from the harmony of spirit, soul, and body, okay? So when you're anxious, you are in a state of unrest and imbalance. So you're already off kilter when you're anxious, and your whole like hope is to get back in sync with yourself. Awesome. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Sure. So my name is Ruby. I'm a certified therapeutic art life coach, spiritual mentor, teacher, artist, the list goes on. And welcome to my channel. And we're talking about anxiety today. So yes, anxiety attacks the heart, mental, emotional connection, spiritual, mental connection, physical, emotional connection, all of it. And as I mentioned, it manifests physically. So, what are your symptoms with anxiety? This is also important to know. When I do one-to-one sessions, for those of you interested, I life coach. So I help you through anxiety, your personal anxiety that you're dealing with. I help you through depression. And I usually use the modalities of the arts, so music, movement, and all kinds of art. So if you're interested in that, please set up a one-to-one with me. It's only $25 a session, y'all, and I'm locking that rate for you all year long. So, and I'd love to have you. I'd love to help you on your inner healing journey. But yeah, as I was saying, there's a reason anxiety attacks you in specific parts of your body, okay? A lot of times it's because that's where I've stored my trauma. And this is so deep and complex, and with those one-to-one sessions, we can get to those roots. So yes, it's a perpetuating state of unrest and unease. I cannot be at peace when I'm anxious. In fact, that is what it does. It disrupts my natural state of peace, believe it or not, especially if you have been with anxiety for so long. I was born and given the spiritual inheritance to stay in a state of peace. That is my natural state, is peace. And the enemy hates that. He hates peace. He wants you feeling crazy. He wants you feeling like you don't have a grip on your thoughts or your feelings or your life. And this is why a lot of these attacks come at us. And as I said before, a lot of times they come through people, unfortunately. Some of them, bewildering as it might sound, where you least expected it. But knowing this, you already have the upper hand, and that's the good news, I suppose I could say. So how do we combat this awful state of anxiety? I'm going to give you some basics, and then we're going to wrap. Number one, we must acknowledge that anxiety is rooted in fear. So what are your fears? And it is a gauge to our present mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health, okay? My anxiety tells me where I'm at in my health. Number 2, we must know which direction anxiety tends to take us. As I said, the heights of anger, the depths of depression. Number 3, we must know the roots of our brokenness, and that's where I come in to help you identify what those are for yourself. I help you go backwards so that you can be propelled to your destiny. Number 4, we must address our anxious coping mechanisms and learn how to adjust them in a healthy way. So a lot of us have negative healthy coping mechanisms when we deal with anxiety. Excuse me. And you know what those are for you. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. So glad. So yes, what are your coping mechanisms that you believe are probably not very healthy when you're dealing with anxiety? Those are important to identify for yourself. And here are some basic things you can do right away when you start feeling this anxiety come upon you. Number 1 is breathing. Breathing is the simplest, easiest, and quickest way to get your central nervous system to calm down. Slow, deep breaths in through the nostrils, out through the mouth, 3 of them, 3 times, okay? Stretching. Stretching is another good way to release anxiety because we have to release it through the body as well. And by the way, y'all, I'm bringing fitness to you very soon. I'm hoping by the fall. So I'll be teaching you some of these fitness exercises to help you with your anxiety as well. And then art and music therapy, again, which is what I use as modalities to help us process, in this context, anxiety. So yeah, that is my teaching today. I hope y'all are doing well. Welcome everyone who's new. I'm so happy to have you. I'll be back tomorrow with Artist Dream Live sessions. I wish I could do it on my other channel, but I don't have enough subscribers yet. So if y'all are artists and you want to join me over there, Soñado Libre Sound is what it's called. You can also find me on Instagram. And yes, I do. My Instagram is at shesrestored. And then I have another one at Soñado Libre Sound. They're linked in my description so you can find them quickly. But I love you all so much. Hope you're doing well. Please sign up for a one-to-one session if that's something you're interested in. I'd love to help you with your anxiety or your inner healing journey. Yeah, because we got to rock it. It's time. It's time for us to be well and whole and ready for what God has, because the days are getting darker. So we need to shine that light. Okay? Talk to y'all soon. Have a great rest of the night or day.